So we're going to have a very open and free conversation. I'm going to start off with Julius in the middle. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, especially around the digital finance space, and then we will move in different approach to everybody else. And I will also tell you what I'm doing as well. So
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to stand on the protocol that has been observed throughout the day. My name is Julius Kakeeto. I'm the CEO for PostBank, which is now becoming Pearl Bank. It's rebranding and moving on to the next level as Pearl Bank. Previously, I was part of this community a few kilometers away to the east. I used to work in Canada, work with Citibank. So I'm quite familiar with the relationship between UK and Uganda in terms of business. And I will talk a little bit more later on about Pearl Bank and what we are doing in the digital space and how we are supporting the tenfold growth program, how we are positioned ourselves. Today, technology should be an enabler for doing business. Today, technology is a business. It's no longer just an enabler. I'll pick on the Deputy Governor's comments earlier in the day. You can expand an economy without transforming the society. So you have to do both, and this is where banking comes into play. Today we have a challenge in Uganda, which is also a very big opportunity. The private sector credit to the GDP, the size of the economy, is quite low. It's around 14%. If you look at the economies where we want to go, in the tenfold, the sizes of the Vietnam, South Africa, Egypt, if you're looking at Africa, Malaysia, that are in the $300, $400 billion size economies, or $500 billion. The private sector credit to GDP in some of these places is more than 100%. So the banking sector has a very, very big role to play in terms of extending credit. But as it extends credit, again, people have to be financially included. And if people are not financially included, it becomes a lot harder to transform them. And this is where now technology comes into play. You can't use the old methods of enabling financial access. It's very expensive. You have to embrace technology. What we did in this journey as formerly PostBank, we thought, how can we automate financial inclusion so that every Ugandan can have access to an account? Let them be the ones to decline. But at least if they want an account, they can have access to it. And we had to do it in our own way because there was no footprint to copy or learn from. We thought we can do it exactly the Ugandan way. And that's how we went into the innovation of WEND. WEND is a different license still under the central bank. You have a banking license and you also get a payments license. It's a second license to enable you issue electronic money. So once you can issue electronic money, what that means is that anyone with a phone, whether it's a feature phone or a smartphone, can have access to financial services. They can receive payments, they can make payments, they can borrow, they can deposit, save, and transact. And that is really how WEND came into play. We took it a notch further because we are part of a wider economy. We are not isolated as Uganda. We integrated WEND with the Western Union, and we are trying to make a lot of these integrations with whoever moves money into the country. And what that means is that I can sit here on my phone, and in 20 seconds, I can send money to Kotibu, or the most remote part of the country in Uganda. And for me, that is really taking financial services to the people. And because in our countries, you have a lot of groups, people work in groups, they save in groups, communities, because then they trust each other and they know each other. So you have to enable group activity on this platform as well, which we also enabled. And it has been a champion for PDM, Parish Development Model, which is a very, very key tool for government to bring people to the money economy. To make sure every Ugandan participates in the money economy. That is step one in terms of transforming society. And in addition to that, and Irene touched on this, we have moved away from using human beings to determine how credit can be disbursed because of technology. What you do, you prescore people based on their behavior. Today we sit and some loans we can do within 30 minutes because we already know you. We know your behavior, we know what you do, how you bank, what you spend on, and we don't need to ask you so many questions because 80% of the answers you already have through data. We've developed a lot of data capabilities just to support this journey of financial inclusion. Now, the other leg, before I leave the mic, the other leg is around stimulating entrepreneurship. Because, again, if you are doing economic expansion, you want a lot of the businesses. Because Uganda, SMEs are the largest employers, it's not so much different from Kenya and Tanzania within the South African region. SME employs between 75 and 80% of the working population. That is a very big opportunity for anyone who wants to invest in Uganda. Because once you choose whatever you want to do and you get it right, around SMEs, they are the largest innovators, they are the largest suppliers to the large corporates and so on, then you get a very good reward in terms of your business. You can make impact, you can create impact. So the other leg is around stimulating entrepreneurship around the SME space and supporting them to become strong and take advantage of the opportunities that come with the 10-fold in that vision. Thank you very much. I think there is a very huge opportunity around the insurance space. If you look at life, that's individual, health, and so on, only about penetration is at 1% across the general public. And one of the challenges that our insurance sector faced some years ago was around trust. And with the bank assurance laws that came into place, allowing banks to sell insurance as well, I think it has helped a lot because now there is some bit of trust. The same bank clients, actually, as they consume more services, they can accept to take on insurance. I think as financial inclusion expands, insurance will automatically also multiply itself. When it comes to these projects,
I want to touch into the value of identification. How much has that influenced since we got the national ID and the name? Has that influenced, has that made an impact?
Yes.
And does that give comfort to somebody coming into investing?
Big time impact, whether for insurance, whether for banking. Because today, before we used to have all sorts of IDs to identify a person. Today, even on an app now, I can show you. You can open your account wherever you are as long as you have a national ID. We are integrated with NIRA, sent to Wendy, it's integrated with NIRA, and you spend about 10 seconds while your ID is being verified at NIRA. While you're waiting,
it helps break out NIRA because my colleagues here might not understand.
National Identification Registration Authority is actually we have APIs, we are integrated. So it's very easy. As you're opening an account, simultaneously we're checking the other side. It's technology checking, not as manual. And that has helped a lot in terms of driving usage and onboarding a lot more people into financial services.
Thank you. Doctor, I'll just touch a little bit around, you talked about the compliance side and then...
I think this is a very different problem between what is an individual being onboarded and what is a company being onboarded. Because as soon as you mention company, it's very likely it's difficult to get a bank account. You need to provide inside leg measurements. You need to provide all sorts of other documentation, often from a registry which does not hold that information. Then you need to get notarized documents, certified documents, and the whole process can take a long time. And we're currently working with a number of database providers, common providers, to get hold of that financial information. It's not just the KYC on the customer which is important. You do transaction KYC as well. So if we're doing a particular trade in trade finance, we need to know who the ultimate customer is, but details specifically about the trade, where it's going, does it meet the requirements, dual use goods. sanctioned countries, sanctioned individuals. So we need to know all that information before you can even onboard that client.
I want to dig deeper into that statement in terms of, because this is really about business.
Yeah.
What are the opportunities for that gap to be filled, and which partners can we look into? And I know you're the best person to answer that question, and I'll come to the floor if anybody has a solution.
This is where I say yes, and we are the company which can probably say yes when we say no all the time. But the important thing is, companies that want to do business need to have that information ready to supply to you. Because when you look at a KYC solution, or you're looking at AI, or you're looking at other sorts of databases for compliance, it will say, what's your ID? And you go, that's fine. Is it verified as an ID? Is it a true ID? Because a lot of fraud, and it's 60% currently in trade finance, of documents which are fraudulent, or transactions which are fraudulent. And just coming back to insurance for just a moment, the point is that the insurance has got to be there to guarantee that your buyer is going to pay, that's one insurance leg of it, and that your supplier is going to provide the right goods, which are not faulty and they're not counterfeit. So there's a number of aspects to the whole thing in insurance, not just insurance wrapping a trade, there are a number of aspects to it. The customer you're providing the insurance for, potentially if you can wrap that, but also the two elements of the transaction which need to be put in place. Not all insurance companies are willing to do that.
Thank you. I'm just going to take a few minutes. Anybody on the floor wants to contribute to this conversation before we come back to the panel? Because I just need these two hands. Thank you. Please make your comments short to the point because we're continuing this conversation. So.
Hello, thank you very much. My name is Clementina Aino. I developed a mobile money app about 3 years ago as part of Equals EU, bridging the gender gap. And it's taken quite a while to take off in one developing country that I focus on. And there's quite a lot of challenges, obviously. So given the gender gap, given the fact that there's AI as well, which means that a significant proportion of women, millions, are going to be unbanked, I'd like to know how we can overcome these barriers, because one of these barriers is the mobile phone ownership, as well as data costs. And there's quite a lot of...
Thank you. I want to speak to that. Go to the next question.
Yes, sorry, yeah. There's quite a lot of research that sort of says these are key barriers. So regardless of how much money we spend on research, if they haven't got those two, that's the problem. So I'd like to speak to panel members to sort of try and find out how we can scale this in another country, because it did win, was finalist at Financial Alliance for Women last year. So,
thank you. Thank you. We'll connect that later. I see two hands at the back. Go from the... Okay. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Harry. I represent the Natural Disaster Fund, which is an impact fund capitalised by the governments of the United Kingdom and Germany, with a focus on providing and building resilience to natural disasters, global warming, extreme weather events to countries in the global south. It's been very encouraging to hear the comments from the panellists, especially from the World Banking, about trying to support and drive financial inclusion efforts. I'm very interested to hear ways in which us as members from the insurance sector, particularly the UK joint governments, how the funds that we have that we can deploy to help communities that are often overlooked and underserved, how we can engage, perhaps not necessarily at either a micro or macro level, but maybe that middle ground being a meso level, how we can work together with counterparts to assist them in supporting their borrowing activities and to support those communities that can be impacted by natural disasters.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know we had a conversation earlier and Governor's been paying attention. We paid a visit yesterday at Lloyd's, so there's a conversation that we can have there. Carry on, please.
Thank you so much. The MD, Pearl Bank, alluded to technology as right now not being an enabler, but the job itself. but I want to interest this House into the adverse effects of technology. We no longer have receptionists in companies. They have been taken over by machines. We no longer have call centers in telecom ministries. Machines have taken the jobs. So the rate at which unemployment is coming up should be of worry or should be of concern to all of us sitting here. Yes, technology is there, but governments are going to have issues at the rate at which technology is taking over jobs from humans. So where efficiency outcompetes human welfare, I think all of us should have one.
Thank you. We have a few responses to that. I saw faces. One more comment, then we can move back to the panel.
Hello, my name is Perez Cheng, and my question is around trade finance. We are a growing company, and at the present, we are in a situation where we are looking to secure trade finance. And my question to you is the sheer cost of trade finance. So, for example, if you had a supplier 200 and your buyer is 250, you have a profit of 50. If you calculate the total cost of the trade finance and the invoice finance comes to almost 90% of your profit. So how can small businesses survive or grow with this kind of facility? Are there any ways of reducing all the financing facilities and insurances? Question number 2. Finding credit finance or trade finance for suppliers in Africa is a problem. How do we secure trade facilities for trade between UK and Africa? Because most of the insurance companies or finance companies say that African businesses do not have credibility that can be checked online platform, and they're just not touching them. Those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
The answer to the second one, I know it's a conversation we had yesterday with the governor at Lloyd's, so there's work being done there.
Yes, my question goes to the MD of Pearl Bank. You talk about how scalable is it? How many people have used it so far, and what are the volumes like?
Thank you. Let's make it short, then we can come. I like that we're having the interaction.
Thank you. My one is still goes to Mr. Kakeeto, the CEO of PostBank. I've had issues with your bank in particular. Some of us who are diaspora, we remit money, and when I send my grandma money through Western Union, there are always long queues, or else the network is not on. She's told to come back the next day, and I want to be specific, the branch in Mbali is doing badly. So you better address that. Thank you.
Noted, and I'm sure Julius will respond and act on landing in Kampala. You've commented in front of his boss as well, which is not very good. So he has no choice but to respond.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Governor is here, so I don't want to be marked the wrong way. But on a more serious note, we'll look into that issue. But if I look at a bank like Pearl Bank, personally, when I joined, and we're talking about technology, 80% of the transactions used to happen over the counter. That's why you used to witness the long queues. Today, transaction volumes have multiplied by 5 times. But the transactions that are at the counter are 9%. 91% is digital. So for us, the conversation about a branch is very questionable, because with digitalization and digitization, the conversation is changing. So you're bringing more people on board without necessarily having that thing called a branch. You don't have to come to a branch. But again, the same conversation, there's a question around the WND. How scalable? In about 2 years, 1.4 million customers are already on the WND. It has more customers than the original bank of PostBank that had up to 1 million customers. So you can see the speed at which this grows, the digital bank. And we are currently on a mission to have a branch, an agent at every parish. So that's over 10,000 parishes in Uganda. Meaning once you have a WND, you can cash in or cash out at a parish level. So it's a national bank. It's everywhere. We want to make it viral.
I'm going to invoice you for advertising.
Yeah, but let me respond to the question around mobile money.
Governor wants Mbale.
I need to get into the specifics of Mbale branch. Yeah, but the issue of mobile money being expensive, one of the delegates raised that issue. If you look at the statistics in Uganda today, out of a population of 46 million, 33 million phone accounts do exist, mobile phone accounts. 33 million, which is 3 times the number of bank accounts that exist. And I'm saying this because I double hat also, I chair Uganda Bankers Association, so we track some of these things. So it's 3 times. Where do you start if you want to bring everyone on board? You have to go to what the public has already endorsed and adopted, which is the mobile phone. Chances are you'll be able to reach everyone instead of going for the traditional brick and mortar of the account.
I have a small comment. I don't know. I couldn't let you excuse me if what I'm going to address has not been addressed. Now, my sister is here. She's our
She's the head of state
in charge of East African affairs. Now, I'm very glad that Honorable Rebecca Kataga is here. In her presentation you had, which she was presenting here, that one of the problems that we have is, let me put it this way. I told you in the morning, let me begin like this. I told you in the morning that our economies, for example, the Ugandan economy is 100% liberalized. Our financial and capital accounts are 150% liberalized. Now, when it comes to trade, it is not the case. The key instruments of global economic governance are not liberalized the way our capital and financial accounts are liberalized. In the English language, let's say, talk in the English language. In the English language, is that when I'm doing business, especially with UK, with US markets, European Union markets, the way you are doing business, for example, EU and Uganda, is not that you can say what you want. She told you, you need rules of origin, you need guarantees, you need all these key instruments of this economic. And so, for me, in terms of digitalizing this process, I don't know what we can do to ensure that the way we ourselves have liberalized these markets, you can bring your money, nobody's going to stop you. The assumption was that also we can trade, nobody's going to stop you. But people stop you. People stop you. Don't say that what you want to say, you can actually say it. You go to Sainsbury, just go to Sainsbury, Tesco, or these powerful supermarkets here. You cannot sell there anything that you actually want. And what is there in that supermarket is not that what we, for example, want to sell there in Uganda is of lesser quality than what you are having there. I can give example, for example, bananas. But because of rules of origin, as you were saying, guarantees and so on. So how do we harmonize this process? It's also very, very important. Then lastly, on the issue of, that was on trade, on the issue of banking, Julius, and they're telling you buying branch and so on and so forth. For us, we are very to you now.
Headmaster. In front of the headmaster.
This Julius in charge of Pearl Bank has been PostBank. It's a government bank. We have got 22 commercial banks, and 3 of them are government, and is managing one of them, the government banks. Others are private. 19 of them are private banks. Now, the problem also, which we have solved for you and the officer, is that supervision, bank supervision, and I want you to come and do business with us. This is very serious business. We have now developed parameters for SupTech. We want supervision to be digital. We have digitalized supervision. We want real-time data. These people, the way they give us data on supervision, is that if I'm going to Abusa and Pearl Bank, they are up to them. It is up to them to, I'm a supervisor of that commercial bank. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? It's up to them to give me the information.
But the more important is the logistics between yes, but at least we want to take it back. Thank you very